I wonder whether Prince Andrew's ill-fated decision to be interviewed by Emily Maitlis, eye roller in chief at Newsnight, certainly added to his problems. And I wonder whether he's seeing a further backlash right now.
Well, I think there is backlash from it because that interview has resulted in him becoming a public figure of fun with some of his statements that he came out with, and you just have to look at social media. Okay, that is no litmus test, and of what people have thought of it. And yes, it was as ill-advised as it could have been because it only sort of put further spotlight on it. He at the time should have said absolutely nothing. Now, if there are cases to be answered for, then as far as I think most people would say, then the Americans have every right to try and get to investigate this case fully. And now that they've arrested Ms. Maxwell as well, they, I'm sure, will be putting case there, and there will be evidence coming out of that because, as you mentioned just a few moments ago, I'm sure there will be some plea bargaining options. So for Prince Andrew, this is not an easy time, and it's all come about in terms of his public perception following that ill-fated interview with Emily Maitlis, which he thought was going to alleviate the problem, but has only exacerbated it.
Clearly, Rupert, Prince Andrew has to hope that it doesn't reach the point of extradition. And I just wonder whether a little realpolitik will kick in between the United States, our closest ally, and the UK. The notion of forcing the Queen of England's son over to a kangaroo court in the States. I don't know what you think. We're not lawyers, but I can't see it happening. If he manages to sit it out and hope that time is the great healer here and it will ultimately blow over, is there any way back for Prince Andrew?
My feeling at the moment, and while there is court cases, it will take a long time for this to blow over and give him credibility with the general British public. Right now, it is at zero, and he has a long way to go back. However much he hopes to get back, because he is missing being a fully fledged royal. You better believe that, because this is his whole DNA, and it will be heartbreaking for his mother, because she very much saw him as her consort as Prince Philip stepped back and wanted him on her shoulder going to all the public events. Well, that has not been able to happen. But as we saw from Prince Charles in very different circumstances, after the death of Diana, he was considered it would be very hard for him to get back with favour with the British public. Well, he has done that. But this is different circumstances and a different set of allegations and sort of issues around this whole case that, as I feel, will leave him a long way to get back to any sort of popularity or even a feeling that he can comfortably go and perform public duties on behalf of the royal family.
Well, I wonder whether there's a danger that he'll just be mothballed by his own family, and ultimately he'll just be this rather bored aristocrat playing croquet all day. Because actually, perhaps his greatest battle, Rupert, is to win hearts and minds within the firm, which is, of course, how a lot of people describe, that's a term they use to describe the royal family, that he's going to have to win back the respect of his brother, Prince Charles, who's, by the looks of it, going to become king, his mother, his nephew, Prince William, who's, next in line to the throne. Ultimately, I suppose this will be decided by the family.
Well, the firm and the Prince Charles wants a trimmed down firm. And,
well, by the way, Prince Charles wants a strim as well, because he's a keen gardener.
Well, indeed. Well, unfortunately, talking of strimming, unfortunately, I give him my tennis elbow. That's my COVID injury, but that's got nothing to do with what we're talking about now. But what it does mean, obviously with Harry now on the back foot, and clearly, the latest, sort of comments coming out from Meghan and everything, there is clearly, there's Harry, the issue of Harry, and then there's the issue of Andrew. And Prince Charles, I think, sees the royal family being a sort of straight down firm, as it were, now. So it goes, the line of succession are the important ones, and the rest sort of, not quite saying fend for yourself, but you basically take a back seat and get on with your life, and don't expect to have the trimmings of royal status. And in the modern era, where everyone is having to cut back, that will probably be the prudent and sensible thing to do, to make sure that the royal family is still felt to be relevant. And Andrew's place in it is now, as whether it is dramatic as to being mothballed in a palace somewhere, is maybe not quite the case, but certainly in terms of fulfilling a public duties, I cannot see him doing anything in the near future. And I'm not sure the public are really ready for him, particularly while the case now is in such a high profile public domain.